This is the air quality in the United States. And this is the air quality in Bangladesh. Notice the difference? In some countries, the danger is a war. In others, it's a flood, a famine, an earthquake. But in Bangladesh, the danger is invisible. It moves through the air, through the lungs, through the blood, and it does it to 170 million people every single day. Dhaka wakes up before dawn, before the rickshaws start moving, before the markets open, before the first workers arrive at the kilns. The air is already thick. Not fog, not mist, smoke. Fine particles suspended above the city like a ceiling that never lifts. Children walk to school through it. Street vendors cook in it. Mothers hang laundry in it. Men load bricks by hand into fires that burn all day and all night, feeding the same sky that kills them. Nobody stops. Nobody can. This is normal. This has always been normal, and that is the most disturbing fact of all. Bangladesh ranks as one of the most air-polluted countries on Earth. Dhaka, its capital, regularly posts an air quality index above 200. That falls in the very unhealthy to hazardous range. For comparison, the US Environmental Protection Agency considers anything above 100 a health concern. Dhaka doesn't see 100 as a ceiling. It sees it as a target it hasn't hit in years. The annual average PM 2.5 concentration in Dhaka sits around 77 to 78 micrograms per cubic meter. The WHO safe limit is 5. That means the air Dhaka residents breathe every day is more than 15 times above the threshold that scientists consider safe. Not occasionally, not during unusual weather events. Every single year on average as a baseline. The city's air, at its normal, unremarkable level, is 15 times more dangerous than what international health standards say is acceptable. And winter makes it worse. Temperature inversions trap emissions near the ground from November through February. During those months, PM 2.5 levels in Dhaka can climb past 300 micrograms. That's 60 times the WHO guideline. Breathing that air is the equivalent of smoking 40 cigarettes a day. The health cost is not theoretical. Particulate pollution has reduced the average life expectancy in Bangladesh by nearly 7 years. Tobacco use, the second biggest health hazard in the country, takes 1.6 years. More than 235,000 people die prematurely from pollution-related illness every single year. Stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, chronic respiratory failure, and children absorb the worst of it. More than 40% of all deaths from lower respiratory infections in Bangladeshi, children under 5 are directly attributed to air pollution. These are not children born into extraordinary circumstances. They're children born into an ordinary Tuesday in Dhaka, breathing ordinary air that happens to be killing them. Now, the question most people ask is where this pollution actually comes from. Traffic contributes. The vehicle fleet on Dhaka's roads grew by 68% between 2010 and 2018. Hundreds of thousands of vehicles, many of them old, poorly maintained, and burning dirty fuel, crawl through streets not designed for half their number. Construction dust rises from bridge and highway projects across a city expanding faster than its infrastructure can manage. Plastic burning, open waste fires, industrial discharge from textile factories all feed the same sky. But the single most visible culprit, the one that defines the landscape around Dhaka the way smokestacks once defined industrial England, is the brick kiln. There are more than 7,000 active brick kilns operating in and around Dhaka. They produce roughly 27 billion bricks per year. They burn coal and wood in furnaces with almost no filtration technology. The smoke they release contains PM2.5, black carbon, carbon monoxide, dioxins and furans. Together, kilns account for 60% of Dhaka's fine particulate matter. 60%. And inside those kilns, men and women work 12-hour shifts in open air, feeding fires in direct proximity to smoke plumes with no respirators, no masks, no protective equipment of any kind. Kiln emissions alone are estimated to cause more than 6,000 additional premature deaths per year. The workers most exposed to those emissions are also among the poorest people in the country. They can't afford to stop. They can't afford to leave. The smoke is where their income is, so they breathe it. Step back from the kilns and look at the city itself. Dhaka holds somewhere between 21 and 23 million people inside a footprint roughly the size of a mid-sized American metropolitan area. The density is almost incomprehensible. Streets that might hold 2 vehicles comfortably hold 8. Neighborhoods designed for hundreds of families hold thousands. Slum areas press against factory walls, against drains carrying untreated wastewater, against roads where trucks and rickshaws and motorcycles share the same 2 meters of space without stopping. In those areas, there is no distance from the pollution. There's no quieter street 1 block over, no park upwind. The air in the narrow alley between 2 tin-roofed homes is the same air hanging over the kiln a kilometer away. Everything connects. And the people living in those alleys already know that. They have known it their whole lives. Would you stay in a city where the air costs you 7 years? Most people here don't get to answer that question. Staying isn't a choice. It's a condition. Traffic in Dhaka has its own character. It doesn't move in lanes, it moves in mass. Rickshaws push between buses. Motorbikes thread gaps that don't exist yet. Trucks shift gears on roads built before anyone imagined this volume. Horns don't signal emergency. They signal presence. The noise is constant. The exhaust is constant. For pedestrians, crossing a major road is a negotiation, not a procedure. Children cross those roads every morning on their way to school. Vendors carry goods on their heads through gridlock. Delivery workers carry loads by bicycle through traffic, moving faster and louder than any bicycle was designed to handle. This movement generates emissions, stress and noise in equal proportion. It also generates the particulate pollution that sits in the lungs of everyone in its path. The street-level air in central Dhaka during peak hours isn't just unpleasant, it's medically dangerous. And if the air doesn't reach you, the water will. Bangladesh sits on the delta formed by 3 of Asia's largest rivers. It has more than 700 waterways threading across the country, and almost none of them are clean. Dhaka's main river, the Buriganga, receives an estimated 4,500 tons of solid waste and 40,000 tons of untreated liquid industrial discharge every single day. Tanneries in the Hazaribagh district pump chromium directly into the water. Chromium is a confirmed carcinogen. It causes skin disease, organ failure, and cancer. It persists in the environment for years. Studies show 58% of tannery workers suffer gastrointestinal disease at more than double the national average. Textile factories add chemical dyes and colours that shift day to day, depending on what's being produced. The canal running past a garment factory turns blue on Monday, red by Wednesday. Beneath the surface, arsenic seeps into groundwater across 62 of Bangladesh's 64 districts. Between 35 and 77 million people are exposed. It is the largest mass poisoning event in recorded human history. There is no cure. Only 42.6% of the population has access to safely managed drinking water. The rivers are poisoned. The groundwater is poisoned. And 70 million people have no reliable safe source for either. None of this is invisible to Bangladeshis. They know where they live. They know what the water looks like. They know what the air smells like. They know which months are worse. What they often don't have is any real alternative. A rickshaw driver in Dhaka doesn't stay home when the AQI exceeds 300. He goes to work. A woman in a textile factory doesn't refuse to handle chemical dyes because she hasn't been given gloves. She handles them with bare hands and absorbs the cost in her body over years. A brick kiln worker doesn't file a complaint about air quality in the absence of any mechanism that would respond to that complaint. He works the shift. He comes back tomorrow. The system that exposes these people to pollution is the same system that makes their survival dependent on it. Bangladesh is also running out of time in a different direction. The country sits at sea level across most of its surface. It floods. Cyclones arrive regularly from the Bay of Bengal. Seasonal monsoons submerge entire neighborhoods, and climate change is accelerating every one of those risks. Rising sea levels threaten to permanently inundate 17% of the country's land area within decades, potentially displacing 20 million people. Extreme heat events are becoming more frequent. For outdoor workers already breathing heavy pollution, working in 40-degree heat with no shade and no clean water isn't a crisis they respond to. It's a Tuesday. It's their job. It's what feeding a family requires. But Dhaka still opens every morning. The markets come alive before sunrise. The street food stalls ignite their burners. The rickshaw drivers pedal into traffic. Mosques call the city to prayer through haze that hasn't lifted since November. Children in school uniforms walk roads where trucks are already running. Families cook, argue, laugh, negotiate, sell things, fix things, carry things, build things. Life here doesn't pause because the air is dangerous. It doesn't slow when the river is black. It doesn't stop when the street floods to knee height. Because for most people here, stopping was never on the list of options. The air is bad. It has been bad. It will probably be bad tomorrow. And people will still breathe it, go out into it, work inside it, raise their children inside it, and keep going. Not because they don't understand the danger, because understanding the danger and being able to escape it are two very different things.